This is an inner fender or wheel hump for a 60s model C10 that I'm going to use on the 1950 3100. I'm going to use it for a wheel tub, so I'm going to end up cutting about right here where it starts the radius, because I don't want to take up a whole lot of the bed with this whole wheel tub. Plus it's gonna have a nice wood bed in it, so I think it'll look better with the less tub I use, the better it'll look. Used a paint marker to mark my dotted line, which I could run my vinyl tape over to achieve a straight line for my cut reference. So I'll be using this vinyl tape to run my line along the dotted lines. I'll use my the paint marker to actually mark a line, because I'm gonna cut off with the cutoff 1/16 inch cutoff disc. It's gonna heat up, so if it heats up, it's gonna melt the tape. So I'm gonna just use the tape as a reference straight edge to draw the line, and then so I can cut on the painted line. I have a straight line, so I'm ready to cut now. So I have it cut and it's fairly straight. We'll test fit it to the bed of the truck and see how it's going to work for us. Let's take a look at where we're going with this. So this is a string that I've attached to this rear box, and is attached to the other front seal, which I actually need to put it down on the actual metal part of the seal instead of the wood block that I have up there. So let me do that and bring it down, so it's actually going to be the level of the bottom of the wood, because the wood sits down on the seals. So let me do that right quick. So you can see I put it down on the actual seal, the metal that's running across there, and this is true to the rest of them. So that's good. Those are level, pretty much level and straight, for the boards to sit on. So of course we have another one to put here, as I mentioned in the prior video, that runs across where you see those holes that it runs across. And so I'll address that in the future, but for right now, we're worried about the wheel tub. You can see what I'm working with now. So the string is actually the clearance for the wheel also, you know, from front to back. That's really why I put the string in there. But now we can also use it to reference the bottom of the wood, because I would like for the flange to be even with the sill, and the sill is what the bottom of the wood sits down on. So the wood will actually sit on top of this flange, and it'll be notched out or cut out with a gap for a little bit expansion around the inner tub. But I still have to notch out a little bit. Well, not notch out, I'm gonna take a sliver off. Not cut it large, you know, just in case, because if I cut too much off, then I would have to purchase another one if I made a mistake. So what I'll do is I'll go back and make scribe another line and cut about, that's where the wheel is. So, and you can see, I want it close. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut another maybe inch off and try to sneak up on it. Before we get started, I wanted to show you what we're gonna do, and you'll see me bandaged up a little bit. Didn't have any band-aids, so this is what I usually do. You need to exercise caution. This is not from metal cut me or anything else related to that. I had the creeper. I was laying on the floor looking up under the truck to try to, you know, get some measurements and get up off of the creeper. And I was rolling over, you know, to try to slide off of it because I don't have a whole lot of room under the truck. And as I was sliding on the edge of the creeper, it tilts and flips up into the air and lands on my knuckle. So the creeper got me. I believe it was one of the casters. One of the little sharp, you know, edges on the casters where it was stamped out got me. So I got blood over. I just taped it up so I wouldn't bleed. But anyway, a lot of people say, well, wear gloves, but I say a lot of people get hurt with gloves on too. So that's why I don't really wear gloves like in a machine shop or anything like that. But either way, I'd rather have cuts on my hand versus missing fingers. But so anyway, I'll just cut a sliver off along about maybe right here. And I'll take my straight edge, and you'll see what I do. I'll try to let you see it, and just mark another line straight. Use this edge as a reference if you get one going like that. I calculated 1/2 inch, but like I say, I want to sneak up on it. I don't want to really cut off too much and mess myself up. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to line these holes up with where the strips go, the metal strips that bolt the wood together, that holds it together. These holes probably won't line up with any of the sills. I can try to make them line up, but so long as that flange is splitting it, what I can do is I can drill the holes in here, so I'm not really worried about the holes that are pre-punched lining up because I can drill you know, the holes that I need. But either way, I got this set to 7/16 of an inch, just under a half. So I'll just put it on here and just move it as I draw another line with my paint pen, and I'll just come back and just cut it with the cutoff wheel. So the paint marker kind of got away from me. A little too much paint came out, and that'll happen sometimes at once. So don't use these paint markers for anything that has to have accuracy, because that's a good reference line, and I can hold it, you know, by using this disc. This is a 1/16 of an inch cutoff disc that I put on my grinder. And so the tip that I'm going to give you is the way to keep it straight is, you know, sometimes you can cut without putting the disc down into the workpiece so far. You might just want to cut, you know, and plunge it just a little bit, and that's okay for turning corners or doing like a radius cut. If you were going to do like a radius cut like that. But if you want to keep it straighter, just plunge it in a little bit more, and you can see it's less likely to turn. I can't turn it, right? It's very hard to turn if it's plunged down that far. So that's going to help me glide across that part that's not a good reference really, because it's so wide, but it just helped me keep a straight line going across it. So that's my tip to you. So I'll let this paint dry up. It's still kind of wet. It's kind of cool in my shop today, so I'll let that dry out, and then I'll do my cut and test it again. It should be right at 7/16 of an inch. I want to cut on this side of the white line. So I'll go at that, you know, as soon as that paint dries, and you know, we'll get that cut off. I have it cut down pretty good, so it fits pretty good up against there. Besides the, you know, this is keeping it out. So once, I think I have it where I want it, so I'm gonna go ahead and mark this off and trim it out for that, because keep in mind, this is gonna be below where the string is. So you can't really see it from that angle, but so the flange is going underneath that flange. So that's what I'm going to work with. So I have a little trimming to do. That's what I'm about to do next. I switch over the cutting process to my plasma cutter because it's faster. You kind of have to get in slag or whatever on the wood. It shouldn't be a problem because it's coming down, so it should be good. Have the passenger side trim and tack welded in. I'm gonna move to the driver's side, and then I'll put the wood around it. That'll be the last thing that I will do is put the wood around it. I have the tubs, the inner tubs tacked in. Symmetry worked out pretty good. The way I measured it, they line up pretty well, so that's what I was looking for. And I'll have to notch out the last board on each side. I'll just have to cut it and fit it so it'll have a nice fit, and maybe have to take a router and relief cut where that flange is on that inner fender tub. A lot of times I like to make my own tools, especially when I don't use them that often. But what I have here is I'm gonna take this and get the shape of the radius right here. So it's just a piece of cardboard with some aluminum filler wire, a welding filler wire in it. And it's corrugated, so you just slip it through the hose, the corrugated hose. And so what I do is I'll just place it up against there and just push it in. I have a registration mark right here on the white, and then a white mark here just for registration. So I'll do that and show you after I do it, because I can't hold the camera and do it at the same time. Made the template, transferred it to the wood, and I'm about to make the cut now. Starting to come together. I got the right side done and put it back. So now I'm just gonna focus on the other side, just try to maybe, I should be able to, because I lined it up about the same on both sides, and I cut both the inner fenders to the same width. So they should just kind of be symmetrical, so I should just be able to flip that pattern and cut the other side, but I'm still going to sneak up on it. You know, just cut a little and just keep sneaking up on it till I get it. But so right here, the wood is actually kind of too wide. So it's not really too wide, but some of the boards are warped just a little, enough to have it where this gap isn't tight enough. So I'll take a wood clamp that's long enough to clamp from this end to this end and pinch them together, clamp it together, and then tighten up the bolts to hold it down. And then I'll do the same to the front, and so that should correct the gap here, so I can fit the rail, the bed rail down. Tubs put in, just going to stitch weld. I'm not going to fully weld up the entire seam. And so what I'll do is take some seam sealer and go over the entire seam to seal the seam. And the basic construction of the bed is you have the front of the bed, and then this is a sill. It's not actually part of the bed, and I'll move the bed. It might move, I'm not sure. Well, yes, but I don't have enough hands to actually move it separately. But these two pieces are separate. You have the bed front, and that's an individual piece that bolts to the bed side. I don't have all the bolts in yet, the nuts and bolts, but that's how it goes. This is the bed sill along in here, and then the actual bed has almost like a piece of angle iron. But you know, it's been at a 90-degree angle, and it's spot welded to the bed side. And it actually, the wood fits between your sill and this piece of angle. The other part of the bed will be the bed side. You have two bed sides, the left and the right. Tailgate also. We have the stamped Chevrolet tailgate. So. And then you have the rear seal. And it's almost like a brace because it's bolted to the bed sides. It runs from one bed side to the other bed side. And again, the wood fits between this sill. It fits under this and on top of this. I'll swing around and show you that. And you can see from this angle that you have space in there. That's where your wood fits at, between those two. And the rear bed sill actually has a flange, the thickness of the wood, and you'll see once we get the wood bed assembled. And as I said before, these 3 bolts here actually hold the bed up, where the bed sides can be straightened up, if that makes sense. Both the bed sides be parallel, where you have an even gap for your tailgate to go to open in and out of. So you would loosen these 3 bolts and, you know, take it either way. You know, you can take it, this being the bed side, you can take it out, or you can take it in and then tighten it up to get them, you know, as parallel as you would like them. I started with the middle boards and I'm working my way out. I'm able to reach around it because I'm working by myself, which I do a lot. And or you had some help, you could have somebody get underneath the truck and put the nut onto the carriage bolt. But being that it's a carriage bolt, I use a piece of tape, and it'll hold it, and I can use both hands from underneath to start the threads on the nut. So that's how it's looking so far. Coming together, just keep repeating as you move out. This bolt actually goes through the wood, but I left one in just to hold the bed straight. It'll go through a concentric washer through the wood and bolt down to the frame. And this is it bolted through the wood to the frame. These are the concentric washers. The hole is actually offset, so when it turns around, it'll contact the metal strip and stop it, so you can tighten it. And it's this is a carriage bolt, which means it's got the square, and the washer has a square in it, so that's going to keep it from turning when when you swing it around to tighten it up. Which I didn't really need to touch the strip or make it contact the strip to tighten it up. I just held it with my fingers, and it was able to tighten up. So I torqued it down like that. So I'm out at the bed that I took off, just giving you an idea of how it should look on the bottom. You have the fender washers, which kind of hold the wood. It clamps it, and then you'll have the center seal. And then you have another seal for the center. And then finally you'll have this, like the main seal for the rear. Call it a brace or seal. And it actually bolts up. You can see the bolts, the nuts and the bolts coming through the bottom. And this is the bottom of the bed actually. So pan out and you can see that's the bottom of the bed. This bolt was left in just to hold the bed in place, but it shouldn't be bolted directly to that. I don't know if you want to call that a torque box or whatever. The mounting box, it should not be bolted directly to it. It should actually, the wood should go between the box and this, and then this bolt goes down through the wood, through the box, through the top of the frame, and the nut goes on the bottom. See how much the board, watch the gap in here, it's going to close up as I tighten my clamp up. So these boards aren't very, well, I'm not going to say they aren't very straight, but they're warped a little bit. so I had to tighten them up. Still have a little bit to go, but I'm gonna put the my bolt in on both sides, and then, you know, so to hold down the stainless steel, and continue to tighten it up. I'm to the point now where I need to put my end pieces in on the for the wood. So what I'll do is I'll take what I did was I trimmed off the edge that's going to be tucked under the flange, and you may have to do that depending on what kind of wood kit you get and how much they leave you. But I had to, for my application, I had to trim off the edge all the way up on both sides. So keep in mind you might have to do that. So, and before you put this next to last piece in, go ahead and put this piece in, and it will go over this box that's the bolt goes down through. And so you have to go underneath and mark a hole and drill it, take it back out, and so you have a hole for your bolt to go down through. And you'll see once we finish up, I'll show you like on a little recap or whatever of what I did. But basically right now, all I want to do is I want to get all these holes lined up in my four corners. You have 4 of them that mount the bed to the frame. So I'm gonna line all those up, and I've taken the bolts out. I put a piece of tape down there it's like a registration or a reference. So if the bed accidentally moves a little bit while I'm trying to get the wood in it, I can see it from underneath before I drill my holes in the wood, so everything will stay accurate. I have it all installed, and so I'll do a quick little recap on the installation. This is the center board right here, and it's wider than all the other boards. Then you have 2 that are the next to, you know, widest on each side. There's 2 over here and 2 over here. And then the board that's next to the last board is shorter than all the rest. And then the board, well, I'm not gonna say shorter than all the rest. You have the end board, which is not shorter, but the width is not as wide. Then you can trim this board to get it to fit once you start to install, and you work your way out. So it took me a little bit longer because I have the wheel tubs in, so I had to cut those out and try not to make any mistakes. So I had to take small cuts a little at a time, so I didn't cut off too much and have to buy, because you just can't buy like one piece, you got to buy the whole kit. This is the bolt that goes through the wood down into the box below it. So there's a box that it mounts to and goes through. And this is the one on the driver's side. And you have 1 on each side. You actually have 4 of these, the shorter bolts. Then you have 2 of the longer bolts, which go to the front. And so they go all the way through the frame, and they come out of the bottom, and you'll put your nut on the bottom with the washer, the lock washer, and it'll come out right here. And we'll go to the back and look. It doesn't go all the way through the frame. It'll come to the top of the C-channel frame, and it'll bolt just as you see it right here. I almost forgot. I don't want to mess anybody up. So it mounts here through the wood, and there's another one here. There should be another one here, but see, I cut my wood out to notch it for the tub. So this carriage bolt with the one of these washers will actually go through that, the cross seal, and go down through the frame also. But being that I cut it below, then I won't need to do that. So keep that in mind when you're putting yours together. So we have it all tubbed out and the wood is installed, and we'll take a look from underneath the truck and I'll show you what's going on from underneath. Look from underneath, and in case anybody's wondering, that's an SRT8 exhaust. I like to recycle parts, so I have a friend that has an SRT8. He put a stainless works exhaust on it, so I just use his old exhaust, and the mufflers, I didn't use the resonators. So anyway, down up under here, you can see the fender washers that go on. And the center seal, the cross seal, you have two of them. You have one here, and you see one up there. And you have a front seal, which goes across up here. And then the one in the rear, which is like a main seal. And it's almost like, we call that a torque box, but the mounting box that the wood mounts on, which is attached to the main seal in the rear. One more thing before I close the video. Make sure that you evenly gap it. You split the difference in the gap to the front and the rear. I have about an 1/8 of an inch to 3/16 of an inch gap in the front and the rear for like an expansion gap for the wood. But so just make sure you do that and don't put it all to one end or the other. Just have a gap on both ends. I'm gonna share the part numbers for all the parts and the pieces to put a bed together, even the wheel tubs, which I cut out and welded in. So I'll try to share all those part numbers with you, and so you can get an idea of, you know, the cost of, you know, what it costs now to do it, and which parts you're going to need if you had to build a complete bed. This is the stain that the customer, the owner of the truck, brought back for me to apply. This wood is a hardwood. I believe it's oak, and it's not treated. So I stained both sides of most of all the boards except for the outer boards. I don't really think he's gonna use the truck in the rain anyway. He probably won't even ride anything in this bed. But this is the process that I've gone through. And so I hope you like this video and share it with anyone you think it might help. And give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel to see more videos. And thanks for watching this video.